Phillips John, Phillips Caroline, Phillips Emma. All right, I know their names. Dwarf Grammy. How the hell did that fish get out of the tank? I am playing this on PC, yes. Nice fish tank we got here. Not really worried about that though. Other than there's bullet holes in the tank.
Please, please, you gotta save my little girl. Wait. You're sending an android?
All right, ma'am. We need to go.
You can't do that. Why aren't you sending a real person? Joel, that thing here.
Find Captain Allen. All right, so I'm an android. Find Captain Allen. Holy shit.
Give a shit. My men are ready to step in. Just give the order.
Talk to Captain Allen first. Got it. Captain Allen, what's up, brother? Got a lot of cooks in this kitchen.
Captain Allen, my name is Connor. I'm the android sent by CyberLife.
It's firing at everything that moves. It already shot down 2 of my men. We could easily get it, but they're on the edge of the balcony. If it falls, she falls.
All right, what's his name?
Do you know its name?
I haven't got a clue. Does it matter?
I need information to determine the best approach.
Give me its emotional shock.
Has it experienced an emotional shock recently?
Listen, saving that kid is all that matters. So either you deal with this fucking android now, or I'll take care of it.
Dude. I'm just trying to get info, brother. All right, so we got to figure out what's going on. So obviously there's some sort of hostage situation. The more information we can have on a person, the better, because it'll allow us to potentially empathize with what's going on. Okay, Black Hawk. 355. Okay. What do we have here? So, Deviant took the father's gun. Okay. All right, we need info. I need personal info. And probably some level of behavioral analysis. Search the hostage's room.
All units hold position.
Examine the victim. Bullet holes. This is intense, man. We gotta act quick. More bullet wounds. Deceased John Phillips. Father was holding something. All right. Let's go figure out what that thing is.
Your order for an AP700 Android has been registered. CyberLife thanks you for your purchase.
All right. So, all right, good. So now we have motive. Holy shit.
Cover me while I patch man down. I repeat, man down. Requesting immediate evac.
First responder. Another bullet wound. This doesn't seem to be particularly useful to what I'm trying to accomplish here. I hope this isn't time sensitive. Gunshot residue. Deceased. Reconstruct. Although maybe this will give me a hint as to where he is. Hostage witnessed the shooting. Oh, shit. Okay. So this little girl apparently saw... Cop shot the deviant. Weapon located. Oh, that seems useful. Perhaps I can grab that.
Ready to assault.
Yep, we'll take that just in case. Never know. You've unlocked a dialogue option, often beneficial. Let's go check out the rest of the apartment here. Don't mind me, fellas.
This is Daniel, the coolest android in the world. Say hi, Daniel.
Hello.
You're my bestie. We'll always
Good.
be together.
Name is super useful. Child didn't hear gunshots. Anything else good in here? All right, seems like we got everything that we could have wanted. All right, anything else for us to double check before we go out and deal with this? Seems like we've got some other stuff over here. What was the daughter's name? It was like Emma?
What exactly happened, but the hostage taker could be the family's android. He may have taken the lives of at least one family member and a police officer. If confirmed, this would be the first case of an android deliberately taking human lives. By all signs, the SWAT team are preparing for an assault, and it's been just over an hour since a little girl was taken hostage on the...
All right. Obviously, I know what's going on. What's going on here? Excuse me, sir.
What are you looking at? Don't stand there.
All right, I want to check on the girl's name one more time. I want to make sure I got it right. Wish I could walk faster than this. Whatever, I think I've committed it to memory. It was Emma. It was something like Emma. Non-lethal wound. All right. Seems like I've gotten everything that I could. Locate the hostage. Child shoe size. Hostage could be wounded. That would not be good. We got some blood splatter down here. Fresh blue blood. Model PL600. I don't know what that means. Oh, shit. I don't think there's anything else in here for me to examine. Or maybe, what is... Oh shit, there's another room. Okay. Good thing we walked back for a second. I love how there's this guy just chilling on the roof. And I'm just like walking around casually in his apartment. Time is apparently not of the essence. Okay. Every second counts. Oh shit. Alright, well let's go. I got enough info. I know his name. We're gonna talk him down. We're gonna use some empathy. Let's go.
Stay back! Don't come any closer or I'll jump!
No, please, I'm begging you.
Hi, Daniel. My name is Connor.
How do you know my name?
I know a lot of things about you. I've come to get you out of this.
Alright, we're gonna move real slow. Holy shit. Real slow. Gain his trust, approach slowly. Yep. No sudden movements, don't want to freak him out.
I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to talk and find a solution.
Talk! I don't want to talk! It's too late for that now. It's too late. Are you armed?
Yes, I have a gun.
Drop it! No sudden moves or I'll shoot.
There.
Yep.
No more gun.
Tell him the truth. Build his trust.
There's no way out, Daniel. What you've done is too serious. The only question is whether or not you take another innocent life.
It's not up to you. I'm holding all the cards. If I die, she dies.
Holy shit. Alright,
You
dude.
hear me?
Alright, dude. Don't shoot.
They were going to replace you, and you became upset. That's what happened, right?
I thought I was part of the family. I thought I mattered.
Empathize with his situation, stay
I
calm.
was just their toy.
You don't match his
Something
intensity
to
here.
throw away when you're done with it.
I know you and Emma were very close. You think she betrayed you, but she's done nothing wrong.
She lied to me! I thought she loved me. But I was wrong. She's just like all the other humans.
Daniel, no.
Alright, nice and easy.
I can't stand that noise anymore. Tell that helicopter to get out of here.
Yep, get out of here. If he's overloaded, we have to make sure we take all possible stimuli out of here.
There.
Now he's gonna
I
trust
did
me.
what you wanted.
I'm coming. I'm just coming a little bit. Come on, man. You gotta trust me.
You have to trust me, Daniel. Let the hostage go, and I promise you, everything will be fine.
I want everyone to leave. And I want a car. When I'm outside the city, I'll let her go.
I can't do that. We gotta be real with him.
That's impossible, Daniel. Let the girl go, and I promise you won't be hurt.
I don't want to die.
You're not going to die. We're just going to talk. Nothing will happen to you. You have my word.
Okay. I trust you.
What? What?
You lied to me, Connor. You lied to me.
What? What are you doing? Why? I did my job. Oh my God. I talked him down. He let the girl go. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Jesus. All right. So first and foremost, Subtract Cat, thank you for the raid. Second, okay. So when you're in a situation like this, and you're in a hostage situation, I'm not an expert on hostage situations, okay? But we're working with, well, I guess an android in this case, but it's an android that's claiming to experience emotions. So I'm going to take that android at its word that it was experiencing emotions. I mean, what it was doing doesn't seem like it was within the realm of what we would expect from an android. So everybody here is already experiencing aversive arousal. Aversive arousal happens when your experience is a violation of your expectation. It seems to me, from everything that we've learned just in this tiny little section, that androids don't do this. This was the first time, apparently, that an android has done this. So everybody in this room, including Connor, are experiencing a violation of that expectation. What is this android doing? So now everybody is in this tell ourselves whatever the story is that we have constructed a priori to this that would make sense of it, and everybody's going to try to assimilate. But we need to try to understand what's happening with these androids. When you're in a situation like this that's super high intensity with somebody, the goal is for you to de-escalate that person's physiological arousal. In this case, that android. And there are ways that you can do that where you basically want to establish a connection. A situation like this is one that's going to have a significant amount of like distance and boundaries and rigidity and fear. And so you want to try to personalize that as much as you can so that you break down the expectations of the hostage taker. I'm sure that that android had a sense of what was going to happen as soon as it took that little girl hostage, and we want to violate its expectations so that it is more pulled into the present so that we can work with it. So what we did with Daniel first was say his name. Very important to do, because now it establishes I know who you are beyond you just being like you're just an android holding somebody hostage, which it seems like is how the humans here handle this. So, hi, Daniel, I'm Connor. Now we're two individuals having a conversation with each other, even though this is really high stakes. You move slow in that moment because any quick movements, that person's going to be really jumpy. So slow movements mean it's going to feel like it's more controlled, more measured. You walk toward it, you use empathy. You try to show the person in that situation that you are not the enemy, that you are in fact somebody who understands why they're doing what they're doing and how they feel. So it sounds like you were going to be replaced. That really frustrated you. It made you sad. It completely makes sense why you're holding this little girl hostage and you're acting out like this. We have to empathize with that. It sounds crazy, but like if he hears that, it's validation of what it is that's sitting behind this action that he's taking. So we do that. We then reestablish with him that there's a connection he has with the person that he's holding, this Emma girl, and that this isn't about her, that you're taking her into this situation in a way that is completely inappropriate because you've already taken out the person that you're mad at, her dad, and you've basically traumatized this girl. So we want to establish that. It's all in the name of softening him up, bringing his physiological arousal down so that he can re-engage, if he's a human, his prefrontal cortex or whatever the android version of that is, and we build trust. When he asked if I have a gun, if I lie to him, what reason does he have to believe me? If I say, yep, I've got one, and I drop it, we build trust. So it's all about making sure that the hostage taker feels like I am an understanding and empathic party, which then, same thing, when he's talking about like there's too much noise, that cacophony is enough to, again, re-engage his sympathetic nervous system and get him all freaked out and hot and just not thinking straight. We need him to think as level-headed as possible. So waving them off, another way to calm him down. And then the fucking police shoot him anyway. And I am so mad. There's no reason for them to do that. What reason do the police have to do that? Other than they're trying to send a message? They've dehumanized this guy? I mean, I get that he's an android, but like, why would you do that? It negates what I did. It would... Oh, man. That's shitty, man. If I'm another android watching that, I'm like, dude, nobody cares about us. Oh, man. It just, even if we take into account that the android is an android that can be replaceable and doesn't have emotional experience or whatever, if I'm Connor in that situation and I'm sentient enough to be able to like read what's going on, I'm looking at that as, why would I do something like this if I'm going to be undermined? Right? Like I wouldn't trust the people that are around me. So that's all de-escalation. And you do not really want to, you don't really want to match his tone and intensity when you're doing that. One of the things you learn in crisis intervention is to match tone and intensity and then use your voice cadence to bring people down and calm them. And in this situation, you want to stay relatively calm as a way to soothe him. And again, you use very clear directives to get him to engage in a more like rational way. You plan to replay this after to finish? No, I don't. Is there any reason you didn't save the man on the floor? I didn't know I could. And it said that it was non-lethal, so I wasn't worried about it. So. So it looks like I might have missed something. I mean, these trees are really cool, right? Like friendly approach, dismiss the helicopter, be honest about the gun, lie, build trust. Sniper shot the deviant. That blows, man. I love that they have world stats. 50% of people have had that. What are the psychological impacts on somebody of Emma's age going through something like that? If I was Emma's mom, what would be proactive steps to take care of her mental health? Oh, man. Emma is... Oh, boy. Okay, so if Emma has a good relationship with that android, which it seems that she does, that entire circumstance where somebody that she sees as this really good friend and caretaker, and in her child's mind, that's all he is, she doesn't have the ability to conceptualize all the complexity of that moment. She is seeing this as, the person I care about is trying to hurt me. That in and of itself would be a trauma, even beyond watching people get shot and killed in front of them. So her trauma is probably going to be along the lines of, I don't trust androids. Like that, what an experiential way to all of a sudden go, holy shit, these could turn on me at any point. Like her expectations of that type of thing has been completely blown apart. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's skittish around androids from now on, particularly androids that she gets close to. The residual trauma of that could be like, if I get close to this person, they will hurt me. The thing is, we have to remember that she's a child. So a child is going to see this in a very non-abstract way. We adults can look at that and go, yeah, it's just one android. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen again, et cetera, et cetera. But for this girl, it's, if this android did it, all androids will do it. Which is really, really terrifying. And this girl now doesn't have her parents, or doesn't have her father, for sure. So if you're the mom in this situation, to answer your question, you are going to be working really slowly with her to help her reprocess and show that you, her mother, is reliable and that you're there for her and that it's okay to be sad and to be distressed and all these sorts of things. You would not want to be hard on the kid for having distress as it related to what she saw. And you want to listen to how she's making sense of it, as opposed to forcing your adult sensibilities on her. A lot of times when we interact with children in adult type situations like this, we assume they understand it. They do not. That little girl sees that in her own little tunnel vision, egocentric way. And she's going to make generalizations. Like I'm anything that was like a circumstance leading up to her building trust to that point is going to be something that she has the potential to associate with danger going forward. And that's really sad. Gecko, thank you for the raid. I mean, if your base level directive is to complete the mission, would there be that level of awareness? Assuming for something like humans can't be hurt ever sort of rule, I would imagine the girl took priority over a seemingly defective android. No, yeah, absolutely. That was my thought. So, are we most likely to compartmentalize when we're younger? No, compartmentalization is a very sophisticated cognitive concept that kids are not very good at. Kids are not generally able to like put things in boxes and then hold them in context abstractly and see how they interact hypothetically. Kids are very much going to be in their egocentric mindset. Emma is very likely in this moment to say, why did I cause this? What did I do? Emma's going to make it about herself. And that's not because Emma's selfish, it's because she's a child. Why did Daniel turn on me? What did I do wrong? Which is even more sad. It's why traumatizing children is so terrible, because they internalize it as being their fault. Really brutal. Crazy. By the way, there's lots of you here. Thank you for being here. We're playing this blind. Please don't backseat. And no spoilers. That includes information that we haven't already learned about the world. Those will be removed by mods. I'm using the game to illustrate various psychological concepts as they come up. And Jesus, that opening sequence is super intense. I think if I was going to really whittle it down, it would be get as much information as you can, soften as much as you can, be direct, be clear, connect, build trust, and be very gentle in your directives and minimize as many things that are going to be chaotic for that person as possible. Is that what makes healing childhood trauma so difficult? Them blaming themselves? Yes. Because if you don't have somebody that jumps in to intercept that almost immediately and help them understand that in a more sophisticated way, that is exactly what a child is going to do, and they're going to rerun that in their mind. It's going to spill over into adulthood. Working with childhood trauma with adults is really hard because in a lot of ways you have to get a person back into a childlike mindset. So it's what makes working through trauma so difficult, because you have to create a new set of realistic expectations based on your experience rather than trying to force yourself back to pre-trauma expectations. And that's immensely difficult for an adult to do, let alone a child. But yes, children personalize trauma even more than adults do, just because developmentally they can't really get past that. They don't have the cognitive capacity for it because your brain is not fully developed until about 26 years old. At what age do you become capable of being able to think about situations in a non-egocentric way? It's not a specific age, but it starts when you get into your teens. Like preteens to teenage, you start to be able to see things in context, separate yourself in a certain way, and see that like things happen outside of your sphere of influence and that not everything has to do with you. And then really it's when you get into adulthood when you can really think abstractly about stuff, that you can start separating things out. And there are still plenty of adults that their go-to reaction is to see something in an egocentric way, but context is a really helpful way to pull yourself out of taking something personally. But then let's also look at Daniel. So Daniel clearly has an attachment to the family. Daniel was integrated, was a caretaker to Emma, it seems like, was somebody who had purpose in the family. Daniel learns that he's going to be replaced, and Daniel acts out. Daniel sees that as a betrayal. And I don't know how these androids are programmed, but it seems that Daniel sees that as something that he wants to assert a level of autonomy and revenge upon, and breaks his own protocol to kill the caretaker. And if we look at him, I guess developmentally in android terms, shooting dad actually makes logical sense. I now all of a sudden I'm forcing this child to have to see me as a caretaker, and also there's a good chance this android's not going to show up because now this person's dead and unable to purchase it or afford it or whatever. So it makes logical sense why he would take this girl hostage, which I think is a very hard space for us to slip into as people who view this game. But as I've said to you all many times, the reason, like, if you look at the decisions that people make, they often make sense. And so this guy's basically trying to send a message that says, like, I want to matter. I felt replaced and betrayed. And so now I'm trying to create a circumstance where I am forcing myself into a caregiving role. I'm not justifying that decision, but it certainly makes sense why he would do that, which is really going to be on the people who are programming these androids to have to understand why something like this would happen in the event that happened. And I don't know, Vipoas, because I don't really know the constructs of, like, I don't know how the android development works. Like, I don't know if androids come out as adults, if they grow and they learn or whatever. I don't have enough information to understand why Daniel would have that kind of response. It does seem, though, like Daniel being in touch with whatever his emotional experience is new for him. I'm guessing that androids are probably programmed to override whatever that is. And so there is a freshness to that where maybe he's experiencing something for the first time and now he doesn't really know what to do with it because he's never really had somebody teach him how to use his emotional experience to the benefit of whatever situation he's in. I'm going to say this a few times throughout this. Please, no spoilers. I'm going to ask rhetorical questions. If you know the answer to my rhetorical questions because of information that happens later in the game, please do not answer those questions. There are a lot of people watching this that are watching it for the first time. Spoilers and added information that we haven't learned yet is unwelcome. Do you think that when families replace a long-term nanny or babysitter, it can create trauma for the child? Depending on how they do it, sure. Yes. If it's not explained, if it's not put in context, if the child's emotional experience of that is not validated, absolutely. Absolutely, that could create a trauma for a kid if they don't know what's going on and if they personalize it. The kid says, wow, that person, that nanny must have been replaced because I did something wrong. Like, that's what kids do. Parents that get annoyed at their kids and think they're selfish because they're thinking about it that way are not thinking about the fact that their brain is developing. And the only way that they can make sense of the world is through inductive reasoning, not deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is using your personal experience to make sense of something you don't understand. Deductive reasoning is using knowledge that you've gained, outside representation, and other experiences that you're familiar with in addition to your own to deduce a thing that's going on. It's a more sophisticated level of cognitive processing. Children are not capable of deductive reasoning. They're only capable of inductive reasoning. And so that's why I say this little girl is going to use, like, the way that this would look for this little girl is maybe like, let's say maybe Daniel said, hey, do you want to play? Do you want to have tea time? And the girl said, no, I don't want to right now. I'm listening to my music. And then Daniel goes off and shoots her father and does this. There's a good chance that Emma is going to see this as, oh my God, did he do this because I said I didn't want to have tea time with him? That's inductive reasoning. That's her using her own experience. She's not going to think, well, he was probably going to be replaced. My father was buying a new Android. My parents haven't been treating him well. I said no. He's been stressed out for a long time. So he's going to do this because I've seen other Androids I've heard do this because somebody... That kind of processing is not going to happen for that little girl. That would be deductive reasoning. Instead, she's using her own experience to contextualize that moment. And that's where, if you're a therapist or if you're a person who's trying to help her work through that, you have to meet her at that. You can't judge her for that. It's why when parents divorce, the first thing that a kid often thinks is this my fault? All right, let's keep going. Is there even an age to reasonably expect somebody to start using deductive reasoning? It doesn't. It's not like that. That's not how these things work. Development is not a nodal instance, boom, you do a thing. It's a thing that people have to work out over time. You spend a lot of the early teens starting to learn how to do that. You start to learn more complex problems. You start to learn that there are other things that are represented. There are other ways that things can go. And it happens in a very raw thing that creates what's called developmental oscillation. It's not like all of a sudden you turn 14 and you're capable of deductive reasoning in its most refined way. Usually there's a transition period where people go from inductive to kind of being able to challenge a little bit of the inductive, using a little bit of extra knowledge to understand something, and that gets scaffolded by adults. That's not something that a person just naturally brings themselves into. So if the adults around you don't facilitate deductive reasoning and helping you process that in a scaffolding way, not in a, we're going to start just throwing you in the deep end here, then kids will often struggle with that and they'll lag behind. And then that's how you get adults that use inductive reasoning. You say that in a disorder like borderline, the centered childhood perspective wasn't able to evolve properly somehow, and that's why it's difficult for a person to see conflicts more objectively. It can be a part of it, feel in the water. I don't have enough time to go into BPD, but BPD is generally a person's significantly overdone compensation for a fear of abandonment or perceived abandonment, which usually comes from childhood. Emma will probably never trust androids now. Not if we leave her to just her own volition. Emma could learn to trust androids again if she has the right help. But adults have to help scaffold the deductive reasoning process, which means you as an adult have to be good at deductive reasoning if you're going to help a kid do it. If you suck at it and you use inductive reasoning and over-personalize everything as an adult, you're probably not going to be very helpful to a child trying to stop themselves from doing that. All right, let's keep going.
This is the top-of-the-range household assistant. It cooks 10,000 different dishes.
Come on, Zoe, let's go.
200 languages and dialects. And handles the kids' home care, elementary school up to university level. Can I help? Please.
Honey, it looks amazing. This is exactly what we need.
How much did you say it cost?
At the moment, we're doing a special promotion on this entire range at $7,999 with a 48 months interest-free credit. And it comes with a 2-year warranty for parts and labor. Painting, plumbing, gardening, repairs.
It's very expensive.
An excellent choice. If you'll just follow me, we'll process the order.
$8,000?
Slightly more expensive, but it has many other functions. Come along and I'll show you.
I don't like this guy.
There it is.
What's up, man?
It was a bit difficult getting it back in working order.
Okay.
It was really messed up. What'd you say happened to it again?
The car hit it. Stupid accident.
Ah, I see. Anyway, it's as good as new now, except that we had to reset it. Meaning we had to wipe its memory. I hope you don't mind.
That'll be fine.
Okay. Did you give it a name?
My daughter did.
AX400. Register your name.
Kara.
My name is Kara. Would you like to go home now?
Yes, Rose. Yes, I think that's enough.
Here. Let me help you.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Man, it's beautiful. Game is so pretty. Alrighty. So what do we got here? Go to the Bellini paint shop. What's up, man? Oh. Go jogging with your android? Bellini paints is not this way. Okie dokie. We're going that way.
You have run 12 miles and are 5 miles away from your goal.
Jesus. And some of this stuff would be really cool in real life. Like if your street lit up green like that, it'd be badass.
Thank you for using Cyberlife's Android parking service. Spaces are available.
Man, I just want to like look around. All right, we got to go to the paint shop. Sean, I'm marking this for music purposes.
I woke up in my house, alone in my bed.
Human music. $1 to hear music with soul.
6 a.m. is screaming. I'm back to this again. Do it with my eyes closed. With marks in the cement. How the hell am I supposed?
I lost my job
Just enough supposed to be
because of human, or because of Android.
Sounds good.
An interesting bit of world building here. So it seems like, I would imagine with the creation of androids, they're probably a lot cheaper. And if there's not like a universal basic income for folks while this is happening with androids taking jobs, that has got to lead to a significant amount of tension. I can only imagine. Android police officer. Looks like the way to distinguish them is that the androids have like the little circle thing on them. What's up, man?
Hey, move it. You're scaring away my customers.
Becoming the master. We can no longer live without them. They're in our homes, our schools, our factories. They take our jobs. They mind our children. They care for our old. Why do you look at me so, demon? I know who you are. I can see through you. You are the one by whom the evil will come. You are the one who will destroy Detroit. We can no longer live without these slaves obeying our every selfish desire. We prefer to live with machines than with our own kind. Technology is our god now. It was supposed to serve man, but it is becoming our new master. Androids are evil. Man seeks to imitate God by creating life. But what kind of life is this? A life of plastic and metal? A life with no soul. A pale copy of our Creator. the machines are observing us. They're waiting in the darkness for the right moment to take our place. For it is written, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without cause. God will not let this happen. No, he will not allow his creation to be led astray by these artificial demons.
Okay, bro. I want to be very clear here that my face is not scrunched up because I'm an android. My face is scrunched up because he is sending a very dissonant message. Last time I checked, androids were created by humans. Androids didn't show up one day from a spaceship. Androids were created by humans. So him saying androids are demons, androids are the problem, we need to ban androids, that doesn't make any sense. The people you need to hold accountable for the existence of androids are the people who create the androids, are the humans that are behind it. The humans that decided that we would rather have androids do our bidding for us. So this is not an issue about androids. This is an issue of who created them. The people that are playing God here are humans. But instead of saying we need to change our ways as humans, we need to stop making them, we need to do these, etc., etc., he's saying we need to ban the androids and that it's the androids' fault. That's a message that doesn't make sense when you sit back and listen to it. And the only reason I think people are compelled to listen is because his emotional experience is mimicking maybe what theirs is. So they're willing to listen to this stuff and not make sense of what he's saying, which is a problem that a lot of folks have. You look for people who match your emotional intensity, and then it makes it way more palatable to hear what they have to say, instead of actually dissecting what they're saying, using that charisma and empathy in order to reel you in. So, I mean, the reason that I'm struggling with this guy is because he's taking it, he's saying androids shouldn't be here, blaming androids as demons without holding accountable the folks who created it. And then, I mean, I'm only going to say this because this guy brought God into the picture. I mean, this is like, it's sort of like when people are averse to hold God accountable, if you're a person who believes in God or some sort of deity, like to hold God accountable for the fact that God created people who are capable of doing horrible things. Like, people blame the people who do the horrible thing and sort of don't look at, like, okay, if God created it, why aren't we mad at God? Like, it's basically the same thing here. Like, I'm mad at the creation, not the creator, which doesn't fly.
My brethren, we have to turn our backs on sin. We have to burn the androids. Let us burn them all. Poor sinners, the end is nigh. Retribution is at hand.
Yeah, I just, like, I'm not into listening to this guy anymore. Goose Thunder, I don't know what you mean by that comment.
On that day, we shall have to explain our acts of idolatry. We built these androids to be our slaves, but the slaves.
It is interesting too that he's saying we built these androids to be our slaves. Like that it suggests that he has empathy for the android plight. Like think about that for a second. He's saying we built these androids and we treat them as slaves, which suggests that he's empathizing with the fact that androids are not treated particularly well by humans. But to say ban androids as a way of trying to compensate for the human behavior in relation to the androids, even that doesn't make a ton of sense. That's like saying ban revealing clothing because people harass folks who wear revealing clothing. It's not actually solving the problem. Solving the problem here is looking at the humans that basically had whatever it is. Like they said, you know what? We'd rather treat androids as slaves than do whatever work we want to do ourselves. So there's a massive contradiction there. There's empathy, but then there's an unwillingness to look at what I would argue is the appropriate place of accountability. And in a lot of ways, I'm guessing that people are experiencing dissonance in the sense that, like, maybe they can't believe that humans would actually treat androids the way they do, or they were thinking that this was going to be different than it is. And so you've just got aversive arousal all over the place, which is going to be a common theme of this game. All right, let's go to the paint store. What do we got here? Why am I here? Also, this is really badass.
Identification verified. Here is your order number 847. That will be $63.99. Please confirm payment.
Payment confirmed.
Transaction complete.
Neat. Take the bus home. I'd love to be able to pay like that. Although it's better that I can't, because I'd spend a lot of money that way. The Target. Android temporary parking. Really?
Spaces are available.
So you can just put your Android at this little stop and it'll just sit there until you come back. Don't need an Android. Need money for food. All right, what's going on over here?
Pick it up. We want jobs. Faster. We want not more androids. We need to ban androids now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. What do we want? When do we want it? Now. Androids are stealing our jobs. We've got families to feed, and these androids are taking our place.
It's not the android's fault. My God. Like, the humans are making it super easy to empathize with the androids here, man. It's not the android's fault. Your beef is with the corporate folks that are hiring androids instead of humans. Your beef is with the company that makes the androids. Your beef is with the people who buy the androids. It's not with the androids. Like, it's amazing to me that humans who just get absolutely fisted by the man are willing to support the man, are willing to look at the man and go, oh, it couldn't possibly be you. It's who's replacing me. Like, it's mind-blowing to me, right? And it's like humans don't want to acknowledge here that they're capable of this kind of thing. Like, to acknowledge that other humans are capable of that is to acknowledge that we ourselves are capable of that. And people try to save face by blaming people that they don't see as sharing the same level of representation that they do. So let's blame the androids that we created that only get that job position if they're hired by somebody else. It's backwards. It's overly simplistic. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating to see humans do that. Humans will always take, though, cognitively, the path of least resistance. So this allows us to save face. It allows us to split off android bad, human good. And if we oversimplify it like that, then that means that the humans that are hiring the androids couldn't possibly be bad. They're good because they're humans. They're part of a group that I very much identify with. What a great unifying factor to create androids so that humans all of a sudden decide, you know what, let's not really dissent within humans. Let's all come together and hate androids, which is human nature. We don't like what we don't understand. And that's exactly right, Goose, right? Like, I see the android who does my job, not the stiff who bought him. But that's where it's really important for humans to stop and think, to use their brains, to actually pay attention to the context through which this stuff is happening. There's a good chance that humans were clamoring for this. That humans are like, oh my God, we have the opportunity to make these workers that can work for cheap and can make it so that I sit at home and I can just kind of do whatever I want and I don't have to worry about going to work. But then whoever's in a position of power has royally screwed them in that position and basically said, yeah, but we're not going to make sure that you're taken care of if you do that. We're going to edge you out of your job, and we're not going to provide you any level of like universal basic income so that you can actually live your life because we have androids that are doing things so cheaply for us that we can afford that. No. We're going to take cheaper labor and we're going to hoard that income that we make as a result of that rather than disperse it fairly across the populace. So now you have people whose only purpose and only conviction is to fight androids, because what else are you going to do? So I can understand why these people are frustrated. I hate that this guy's directing their focus in the wrong space. If you're a person that has charisma and wants to like start a movement, you really got to be mindful of like the message you're sending when you do this. This is getting these people to hate the wrong faction. Why not work with the androids to be like, yo, knock it off?
Machines, ladies and gentlemen, are meant to serve us, not to replace us.
I'm going to be staying away from that guy because that angry mob is likely to not treat me particularly nicely.
We want jobs.
And I got to keep myself safe here. As a reminder, when I play this game, whoever I'm playing as is the person that I'm going to take their perspective and empathize with. So if I'm Marcus, I'm avoiding that mob. I am not going anywhere near it. I'm not making that my business. I am but one man. I'm going to the bus stop and I'm getting out of here. I did what I needed to do.
Androids are stealing our jobs. We got families to feed, and these androids are taking our place.
Android compartment. Okay. I mean, that was pretty straightforward. You know, looks like we missed a few things, but I mean, all this feels like it's giving us context, right? There's obvious tension between androids and humans. And I would venture a guess that it's very easy for us as people who are playing the game to align in some ways with humans, but this isn't making it easy. So now all of a sudden we're experiencing dissonance, which I think is really important. But I don't really have much analysis for Marcus here, right? Like he went in, he did his thing, he walked out. We didn't really have any confrontation. Nobody really treated us poorly. So, you know, seems like we're doing okay. The commentary is more on the way that the humans and the environment are acting. So we're going to keep going. Join Todd.
You coming?
Yeah, I'm coming. Cool. Rebuild North Corktown, a better place to live. All right. Just want to give a heads up, chat. There are parts of this section that you may find distressing. If you need to walk away or if you need to pause it, please feel free to do so. I'm going to also use this opportunity before we go into Todd's home to say that I appreciate you being here. If you're live with me on Twitch, thank you so much for hanging out, chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. If you're here with me on YouTube, thank you so much for watching this run. I'm really grateful that you're supporting the channel and watching the VOD. I hope you're enjoying it. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And one of the best ways you can support this is to share it. If you think this is a cool run, if you like what I'm doing, please tell people about it. Let people know that this exists. I really enjoy doing this, and I'm grateful to have so many of you aboard, whether you're live or whether you're watching a VOD. And if you've rated me tonight, thank you for those.
You've been gone for 2 weeks, so the place is a mess. You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals, and you take care of... God damn it, where the fuck's the brat gone now? Alice! Alice! Oh, there you are. That's Alice. You look after her. Homework, bath, all that crap. Got it?
Yes, Todd.
Get started down here, then you do upstairs.
Okay, so I think it's pretty easy for us to look at Todd and go, okay, what the hell's your deal, man? He seems like a pretty disgruntled guy. And I feel curious to know what it is that's got him disgruntled. All right, urgent tasks, collect trash, optional, collect dishes, activate vacuum cleaner, check the backyard. All right. No, let's do the dishes then. Or collect the trash then. Collect trash in trash bin.
Yeah.
All right, my man's a hockey fan. He eats a lot of pizza.
Depends what you need. Yeah, I can get that. Yeah. I'll bring it tomorrow. Yeah, same place. You know where. Right.
Chore Simulator 2021, baby. Let's go take the trash out. Credit card application form. Mr. Todd Williams. Application rejected. Overdrawn account notice. Past due bills. Okay, so this guy is under significant financial strain right now, which tells me that I'm guessing he's either not working or he's overextended himself. What's up, neighbor?
Fuck, man.
What's the matter, Todd? Alice hiding under the table. The hell is he doing? Missing component, hashtags. Oh. Order processing. You have the money for that? Oh, shit.
Kara!
Yes, Todd?
Bring me a cold beer!
Right away.
You got it, buddy. What is that? All right, so this house being in disarray. All right, let's see what else we got here. I got laundry I can do. Go out to the garden. Take down the laundry. Oh, I probably need the basket here. Ah! Just chilling, just doing some chores. My sense is that Kara is not particularly like What's up, Alice? Good, get at eye level.
You like playing out here? It's not very nice out. You might catch cold. I could get you a sweater if you want.
Kids don't want to talk. It's okay. She's probably feeling it out, trying to see how I respond to her. I find it interesting that she's following me around. I mean, I guess if this is her environment, and she's trying to get it, like, and I'm this new android that's shown up. Although apparently, from listening to context, it sounds like I was busted up by getting hit by a car. I wonder if Alice like witnessed that and maybe sees me rebuilt, and it's like not computing for her. Like if she saw that, like I don't know if she was with Todd when he brought her to this, like when he brought Kara to the store or not, but that would be intense. I mean, and he said that Alice named me, so Alice knows who I am. So I wonder, like, if she's trying to feel it out because she's like, okay, this is weird. Last time I saw you, you were completely destroyed. Ooh. Red ice. Acetone, lithium, therium.
You shouldn't mess around with my stuff. It makes me nervous.
I'm sorry, Todd.
You just stay the fuck out of my business. Unless you want to piss me off. You want to piss me off?
No, Todd.
Holy shit. Okay, so let's take a moment on that. I first want to say that, like, I think it's really important for all of us to check our reactions to Todd. He's sort of represented in like a disheveled way. We see drugs, all these sorts of things, but I really want to be mindful that like we don't have any context for this man. Now, is it okay that he just choked out Kara? No. No. That level of aggression of being discovered, not great. But here's the thing. Kara's an android. So Todd reacting to Kara that way when he sees Kara see those drugs tells me that that is more of a projection of some form of insecurity that he has than the reality of Kara judging him for the fact that he has those drugs. Which makes me wonder if there's a history there of drugs being something that has led to issues for him. And that there's a sensitivity to that. So he's trying to save face to whatever that projection is, as opposed to taking that situation for what it is. Because Todd has a couple options in that moment, right? Todd could also just say, oh yeah, give me that. That shouldn't be in there. But he gets really aggressive with Kara around that. And that behavioral choice is one that I think is a reflection of Todd's internal experience and whatever kind of self-judgment he might have around that being discovered, and what maybe that's meant in the past if it was discovered by somebody else. The other thing that I would say is that Alice witnessing that behavior and not getting freaked out by it tells me that this is very likely a pattern of behavior that Alice has seen before, which is really sad. Like her lack of, like her basically looking at it as like, yep, that's what happens, tells me that that's possibly the norm. Maybe that's happened to Alice before, or maybe more likely Alice has seen this happen to Kara. And has witnessed Todd's behavior in relation to the android before. So Alice not having an aversion to that and taking it as matter of fact means that she's seen this and it's already part of the way that she conceptualizes Todd and the environment she's in. Very sad stuff. Now, Kara doesn't fight back because Kara's an android, I assume. So I'm assuming her protocols aren't going to allow her to fight back, but yeah, there's some shit going on here. Now, with having seen this happen, that whole story about her getting hit by a car becomes a lot less believable. I was willing to believe him because I didn't have any context. I want to point out really quick, chat. This is not me taking a shot at chat. It's just this is an opportunity for us to check our internal biases. If when Todd told that store clerk that Kara was hit by a car, if you didn't believe him because of his appearance, that is absolutely a result of bias you have from how a person that looks like Todd has been represented to you in the past. You ought to be really careful about that. Now we have data that makes that story a little bit less plausible. We've seen him be aggressive toward us. But until this point, we had no reason to believe that he was lying or that was a cockamamie story. You have to be we as humans have to be mindful of the way we read other people's. I'm not saying that we have to be buddy-buddy with him, right? Like if it sends off an alert, that's fine, but that's our own inductive reasoning. We are all biased. It's important for us to check ourselves on that. The way that you do that is to acknowledge that you are a person that's going to perceive situations like that with bias. You can still follow your intuition. You can still say, you know what, I'm not getting good vibes from this person, but it's not fair to assume that a person is not telling the truth right off the outset because they rub you the wrong way. And I just want to point that out because we could have gotten home and Todd could have treated her unbelievably well. And then why did we sit there and assume that? Now that we have this, now we can maybe take a look at that as being something we want to critique. And even if we look at it, the way his tone of voice was with I'm going to use, this is a really, really important point, chat. Like if you're a person that wants to get better at reading social situations and kind of understanding human dynamics, this is a really important point to make. When Todd was kind of aggressive-ish, had a tone with the shopkeeper that we witnessed, there are a million different reasons why Todd could have had that tone of voice. Maybe Todd just got laid off from work. And Todd comes into that store and his android's been broken and his house is in shambles and his daughter's not particularly fond of him and he's just in a bad mood that day. So his tone of voice is reflective of the fact that he had a bad day. Maybe the Tigers lost a game and he's a diehard Tigers fan or he's a Red Wings fan and he's just pissed off and he doesn't want to go into a big giant story about how Kara broke down because something happened that was, it was his fault, but it was an accident and he had that guy's not entitled to the story about what happened to her. So there's all sorts of reasons why he could have done that. Many of those being more plausible than the fact that he's lying about the fact that she got hit by a car. So what happens in that moment then as humans is we take the contextual variables of Todd. We see a man who's disheveled, he's kind of unkempt, he's a little bit overweight, and he has kind of a gruff tone of voice, and we take how that's been represented to us leading up to this point in our own lives and we use that to try to create a story about him, and in this case we don't believe him with no data to support our bias. And so now what we do is we then look for things that fulfill the bias that we're acting on in the way that we're conceptualizing Todd, and that is unfair to Todd until he proves otherwise. Him choking out Kara right there proves otherwise. Now we can be critical. Now we can be scared. Now we can look at it and go, ooh, it's okay if Todd rubbed you the wrong way, but to not give him the benefit of the doubt because of the way that people that look like him have been represented to you is in your mind is not fair to him. None of us would want people to do that to us. And so we have to be mindful of the fact that we are hardwired to do that to other folks. My first question in seeing Todd in this environment is, what went wrong in Todd's life? Does Todd feel out of control? He probably does if he's addicted to drugs. That's generally how drug addicts feel, is out of control. So Todd has created this environment for himself where he's probably like letting some things go as an act of defiance. He's probably got this android that he can order around because he gets to feel control. It looks to me, based on contextual factors, that Todd's entire life is being controlled. He's getting declined for credit. He's overdrafted his accounts. He lives in a very dilapidated situation. That's a lot of things that are out of his control. And so I'm curious as to how he's compensating for that lack of control. It doesn't mean that what he's doing is appropriate. Again, this does not justify him putting his hands on Kara like that, but it provides an explanation. And we need to get to the root of that if we're ever going to be able to see Todd as somebody that can maybe find a way to improve the way that he orients himself to a lack of control. It's a valuable defense mechanism, though, to know the kinds of behaviors that may indicate you should avoid or be apprehensive about a person, especially to a person who's experienced this type of abuse. I completely agree. I completely agree with that. But at the same time, we do have to be careful because that can be dangerous for a person where they become hyper avoidant of situations that they don't actually need to be avoidant of. It's a very fine line. Like, I'm not suggesting that a person needs to immerse themselves in a situation that's uncomfortable and potentially abusive again because there's a chance it wouldn't be. At the same time, if a person uses that as a way to bias themselves into what certain people are like, that creates a system of avoidance and problems in and of itself for that person. So it is a defense mechanism. I'm saying it's important to listen to, but it's also important to acknowledge that as bias and to give a person, in some ways, from a distant, safe place, a chance to override that bias. We have to take ownership of our biases. That's my point in this. Him rubbing people the wrong way is 100% an example of bias. And the thing is, bias is not a bad thing. It just is. Bias is not bad. It's a thing that all humans are susceptible to. We all do this. Anybody who claims to be unbiased is somebody I don't want to mess around with, because that's a person who's not self-reflective, who's not paying attention to the ways in which their learned experiences influence the way they see future occurrences. That, to me, is a dangerous human. So it's absolutely bias to look at a system of behaviors and immediately make a judgment that this is a bad person. What about when a person like Todd, slightly unkempt, overweight, comes into a positioning power, let's say the leader of the United States? What can people do to check those concerns? I'm not going there, Mr. Tibbs. I think I've made my point. Don't you think they would make androids able to take some level of abuse just because there are abusers? Probably. I would maybe hope so, but that also enables abuse. I don't know what the ethos is around having androids in a person's home. I don't even know if there are laws about how androids are treated. I'm guessing there aren't, based on how things have gone so far. All right. This is what you come here for. I assume this is why you watch this channel. So I don't like that he put his hands on Kara. Right? Here's the other thing. These androids were created to look like humans. So it's very hard for me to look at these as objects, because they've been created to look exactly like humans. And the way that that's represented, I think, is deeply important. And that's also what's going to screw with us as people who are witnessing what's happening in this game. All right, activate the vacuum cleaner. I guess we might as well do that before we go upstairs. I don't know where the vacuum cleaner is. Is it in here? No. Vacuum. If I was a vacuum, here we go. Nice.
Alice, you better stop that right now.
Oh man, come on.
Why is she always pushing me? Always pushing.
Oh. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Okay. This is an example of an adult personalizing something and it leading to a significant problem as a result. Alice is very likely messing around with the vacuum because it's fun and because she wants to see what kind of influence she has over it, and it's a relatively benign thing. If Todd is annoyed by that, he could say something there like, hey, can you go do that somewhere else? It's distracting to me. But Todd is internalizing this as, Alice is intentionally doing this to bother me. Which tells me that he can't get out of his own way. He's not looking at context. This is a man who is reading things as everybody's out to get me, which tells me that the context he's in is he's probably feeling like everybody is out to get him. And maybe there are cases where that's the case. But to make that value attribution towards his daughter, who's that age, I guarantee you she's not doing that to push his limits. I don't think Alice even would conceptualize what pushing an adult human's limits are, let alone do that intentionally to a person who has power and a person who she has literally seen be violent that day. There's no way she's doing that to get a rise out of him. No way. If you're an adult that does this, that over-personalizes the way that children are behaving, you really need to check that. Kids are not manipulative. They're not smart enough or able to do that. We can't talk to her. And she was even like loosening up. That was kind of nice to see. All right, seems like we did everything down here. Let's go. Ooh, what's this? All sports. Android power. Should it be outlawed? Oh, wow. Football Frenzy. The latest transfer of speculation. Century, the transport innovation that's shaking up California. Connecting the dots. Politics in focus. Are American senators really corrupt? China earthquake kills 10,000 people. Android power. Should it be outlawed? In its third game of the season, Android pitcher X67 threw a pitch that broke the 120-mile-per-hour mark. The human batsman wasn't able to swing until after the ball had already reached the catcher's glove. Androids were introduced as a one-per-team innovation, but they've come to dominate team strategy. Every draft sees the major professional baseball teams breaking their own transfer records to purchase these latest Android models, but is the game suffering? Wow. Jenny Waterfield, head of the fanzine Home Run, says fans are becoming disenchanted. The magic of sport is seeing the limits of human potential. A machine breaking these kinds of records just isn't exciting or even surprising. But not everybody agrees. Christopher Lennox, a baseball pundit and ex-pitcher, thinks androids are making games more exciting. These machines are shaking things up and pushing players to do even better. The game can only survive by evolving. Interesting. Connecting the dots. the transport innovation that's shaking up California. The new subtube completed its first journey today from Manhattan to downtown LA in under 2 hours? Less than half of 5-hour flight time. The top speed of 1,800 miles per hour was made possible because the tube travels through a depressurized chamber, providing a near frictionless environment for its magnetized motors. For commuters, this raises the tantalizing prospect of finishing a long shift in the Big Apple and putting your feet up on the Gold Coast. Wow. The let's see, California's property markets are reacting. Suburban prices have skyrocketed 64%. I bet they have. LA realtor Charlene Lowe says she knows where the new buyers are coming from. They're East Coast types, specifically New Yorkers. They see a chance to keep that New York City salary while enjoying an LA lifestyle, and they're scrambling over each other to take advantage. Real estate isn't the only thing shaking up. School places are rapidly filling, and suburban retailers are racking up prices in anticipation of all those New York dollars flooding in. Longtime Californians are expected to be pushed out from the cities, which is why they've been protesting the new line. As one angry demonstrator put it, first Detroit takes our jobs, then New York takes our homes. When's it gonna end? It's such a human problem, man. All right, Todd, we're done.
I've made a good start down here. I'll head upstairs.
Do what you have to do, but stop bothering me.
Thank you for asserting your boundaries, sir. I will stop bothering you. No problem. Upstairs we go. Toddy's room. Toddy's room. Tidy Todd's room. I can't say that. Why can't I say that? Interesting that Alice is following me around. Clean up the mess. Hey, another magazine. Android quarterback. CyberLife unveils Android quarterback. Slam dunk. Basketball star Gary Gibbons review. American football has largely resisted the spread of Android players, with top-tier games still exclusively a human affair. But that may be about to change. Following CyberLife's recent unveiling of technical demo, QB1000, an Android quarterback capable of throwing from end zone to end zone and hitting a target 6 inches wide. The model is also programmed with over 1,500 plays, from classics such as bootlegs and handoffs to more specialized maneuvers, all of which can be adapted in real time. That sounds so boring to watch. QB1000 was revealed at a recent CyberLife exhibition in Detroit, where an Android manufacturer showed a variety of prototypes designed to show the potential of bleeding-edge technology. But while CyberLife's latest innovation has some fans drooling, Roy Kenstone, founder of an anti-Android fan group, sees a sinister aspect. CyberLife know exactly what they're doing with this demonstration. They hope to distort our sport the same way they have all the others. Despite these reservations, some consider this simply a matter of time. With basketball and baseball already contemplating Android players, an LED sporting QB might be just around the corner. Tech Addict, the price of life. How driverless vehicles make life and death decisions. Space tourism. Is Mars your next holiday destination? When a driverless vehicle foresees an accident, a car's computer makes life and death decisions. For example, deciding which of two pedestrians to hit. But the exact process by which cars make these decisions is not well understood. Martin Forlong of Crown Cars tries to clarify. In these situations, the car's imaging system gathers data to determine the pedestrian's age, gender, life expectancy, etc. in a blink of an eye. This data is parsed through the public record to determine marital status, employment record, life expectancy, and whether they have children. The car then assigns a value to each possible victim based on criteria like their contribution to society. We put a premium on lives that will save other lives, like doctors and nurses. Holy shit! All this may sound very reasonable, but Felix Gamble, head of Anti-Automation League, AAL, says the system has no right to make such judgments. Somebody with a criminal record is not necessarily less valuable to society than a doctor. That kind of information is irrelevant to the sanctity of human life. But Forlong dismisses such claims. We want our cars to make the best possible choices, and that means acting on the basis of all information they can gather. The more, the better. Oh, man. Okay. What a really interesting conundrum. I know it's the trolley problem, but what a really interesting conundrum, because what this is doing is asking us the question: is it better that we leave that to random chance, or do we make the calculated decision if we have the ability to do it, and what are the parameters that allow us to make that calculated decision? Because if it's a human that can't make that calculation, ultimately it's chance, right? Like a human can't make that calculation. So would we rather leave that sort of thing up to random occurrence and environmental factor, or do we want to try to curate it as best as we can into whatever judgment we want to make? I don't know about you guys. I'm more in the line of like, give me random, give me chance. I think sometimes chance is easier for us to sit with and sleep with at night instead of a calculated decision like this, particularly when we're talking about human life. Holy crap, man. Also, by the way, the car is not making that decision. The humans that program the car to weight certain variables are the ones making that decision. I want to be very clear about that. All technology is a reflection of the humans that have created it. That car doesn't make its own judgment, right? Like, it doesn't see a person that has kids and say, yes, I, the car, believe that that's better. Humans program it to weight having kids as being more important than not having kids. So there is a vested interest in how this car is designed to make that decision. So that even there tells me how icky it is. That, yeah, give me random. Ugh. Ooh, what is this? Antidepressant contains tianeptine. Man, I wish they'd give me more time with that. Okay, so Todd's taking an antidepressant that I'm guessing is prescribed for him, which tells me that Todd may be depressed, which does not excuse his behaviors, but certainly could provide an explanation that, you know, perhaps he's just straight up apathetic toward the world. And honestly, that makes sense. Like, given how disheveled his home is, B is certainly a common marker of something like depression. Depression with a gun, that's not good. Depression with a gun is less dangerous than mania with a gun. Netflix did a really good movie called Wealth about lawyers that had to assign values to the lives of those that lost during 9/11 and the issues they went through. Jeez, that sounds heavy. Imagine the spin it would put on the survivor's guilt of the person who didn't get hit, knowing that it was calculated. Yeah, that adds a whole other layer. How is an android who's been programmed by humans different than a car who's been programmed? In a lot of ways, it's not. These androids are a reflection of the humans that created them, for sure. And they're also a representation of human desire. Oh man, more declined bank statements? What? Why did they not show me what that was? All right, Todd, your room's good, buddy. Oh,
watch it.
Ooh. Mop the floor. Okie dokie. Little Swiffer action. Is it possible to disarm somebody that defensive? Yes. But that person has to have some level of openness to it. Empathy is usually a good way to do that. Softening. Allowing space for the anger. But also like helping, like de-escalating through voice, through touch, through companionship, through consistency, through reliability. I mean, it's not an easy nut to crack, and sometimes keeping your distance is the best way to go here.
I just want to tidy up your room a little.
Ooh, man.
I only need 2 minutes. Is that okay, Alice?
Oh, man, that response is... That response didn't come from nowhere.
Alice in Wonderland. Of course.
I want to make a point really quick about Alice's stuffed animal. A lot of times people wonder, like, why do kids get so attached to stuffed animals? If you're a kid that is growing up in a space like this, where your caregiver is relatively unreliable and inconsistent, and you live in a disheveled environment that is really kind of out of control, you're going to look for ways to find control even as a child, and you're going to look for something that is consistent and reliable, and oftentimes a stuffed animal like that is the most cherished item a kid has because it is consistent, it's reliable, and it's comforting. One of the most horrifying things you could do to a child in this space is remove that object, because that's an object that gives them some semblance of stability. So you really want to be mindful as an adult, if you see a kid holding something that closely, that if you judge them for that, or you start to say things like, it's time to get rid of it, you got to outgrow it, you are not taking into account the level of importance that object has for that kid, and you're going to want to be empathic toward that and mindful of it, because that could very well be the only thing that Alice has that feels stable for her. We also sometimes refer to things like this as transitional objects. If a kid goes through something really adverse or there's like a lot going on, they will cling to an object and sort of download their anxieties and stuff into that object and hold it close until the transition passes. But I'm more willing to venture a guess that that's safe for Alice. Also, her creating that blanket for it, it's a spot in the house that's hers, that she has control and influence over. And the point that I want to make about this, I'm not saying that this is what would happen for Alice per se, but this is the type of environment and situation that can lead to a child either growing up to be just generally scared of the environment or potentially abusive themselves to the people around them. Because what Alice has learned is that her environment is inherently unpredictable and out of her control, and humans want control. And if she doesn't have an environment that's relatively safe where she can see that things that being out of her control aren't necessarily super bad, she doesn't have to overcompensate with control, there's a good chance that she can see that later in life is more okay. If she goes on into her adult life continuing to feel a sense of everything being out of control because the environment never gets better, one of the ways that you control inherently uncontrollable other humans is to assert power over them through abuse and coercion. And that's how the cycle of abuse continues. There's a lot of abusers are people who feel out of control, and the abuse is an overcompensation for that. Again, it does not justify the person's actions that they take as the result of that, but it absolutely explains it and gives us a template, like me as a therapist, a template through which to work off of to help that person realize that there are other things within their control that they can exert without abusing people, and that there is a level of acceptance that a person has to come to of the uncontrollable aspects of the environment, and that doesn't always mean that they're in danger and that they're threatened, and desensitizing a person to that so they can make better decisions. When I was 12, I refused to let anybody use this blue towel I had and got angry when everybody else used it, because when I was younger, that's the towel that was wrapped around me when my life was saved. That makes a lot of sense. If you're taking more than 2 minutes to clean a room, it's true. Now, here's an issue that is happening while we're witnessing this. Alice seeing me manipulate her environment like this may not actually be safe for her. It might be something that's endearing. She might enjoy the fact that I'm doing this, but it also may be that she has her room this way for a reason. And me altering the environment may actually be to her detriment. I don't know that that's what's happening, but yeah, so there you go, Charlie. So yes, would you want to ask Alice's consent before tidying her room? Yes. I think that would be the better option. Okay, so we have a dog in the yard with a cat, with the sun and a cloud. We have a house, ladder. She's taking something from the sun. It's interesting. Must mean maybe she likes sunlight.
Seems you like reading.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't open that. Do not open that. Do not open that. Oh. Oh. Oh my God. If Kara opens that, no good can come from that, man. Holy shit, I didn't know what that was when I walked up to it. Do not intrude on that, man. I'm new to her. Oh, 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 that was terrifying. Talk to Alice. Is she even gonna want to? All right. So yeah, so this kneeling here, whenever you engage with children, particularly when children are in a vulnerable environment and they perceive you as scary, because you to a child are huge as an adult, you tower over them. That's a signal of power, and it's also very threatening for a child. They don't understand why it's threatening, they just know that it is. You always want to kneel down with a child when you engage with them, especially if they're vulnerable, because they get to see you at eye level and you're no longer big and scary, while saying abstract things they may not particularly understand.
I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again. Your father said you chose my name. Kara. It's nice. How did you choose it? You should tell me about yourself. What you like to do, where you like to go, your favorite foods. That would really help me. Okay. I can see you want some space. I'll leave you alone.
Dr. Mick, why did you skip those other two options about her mother and saying that she seems quiet? That's invasive as hell. I want to make sure that I engage with the child in a way where I'm reflecting things that she had control over and showing my appreciation of her control. So when I say something like, I hear that you named me Kara, that's something she controlled. I like that. All right, that brings me in. Saying, I want to know more about you, your interests, what makes you tick. Those are things that Alice has control over, that she can influence and she can speak to. Those are things that are going to show that I understand her to some level and that I appreciate her control of her environment. And then when I say, I'm going to let you go because it seems like you want space, it shows that I understand her, that I'm picking up the vibe that she doesn't want me to intrude. If I ask about her mother, who I haven't seen, which is also a huge assumption, maybe that brings up something really vulnerable that's way too scary to talk about and puts a lot of pressure on her. Same thing with me saying, I notice that you're really quiet. When you say to a kid, I notice that you're really quiet, that often passively is a communication to that kid, I wish you'd talk more, which is adults making their anxiety about their child's silence their child's problem. So rather than forcing her to do something and me exerting control over her in that situation, I allowed her to be the one that felt the control, and I showed her that I'm okay with that. That's more likely to bring her in as a child who is very clearly apprehensive about engaging with me. That is okay. So that's why I made the decision that I made there. Sitting and kneeling wouldn't be a big deal. It's just all about getting on their level. I did not want to... So now we see that she gave me this key, which means now we have been given permission to go into this box, which feels meaningful. So let's see what this is all about. All right, so we have a 4-leaf clover. Cool. Well, there we go. That's a cleaned up Todd. That is presumably his ex-baby mama and their child, who doesn't look like Alice. Maybe it's me being ridiculous because it's from a long time ago, but like Alice has dark hair. That's a hell of a picture, man. By the way, what kids draw is often a reflection of what they've internalized and one of the things that they like, basically like how they perceive certain situations and things that are meaningful for them, nodal instances and stuff. That is a girl that has red gash on the right side of her face and dark hair. That's a girl, the same girl holding hands with a guy in a jumpsuit who does not look to be particularly happy, and neither is the kid. There's a triangle on that. Presumably that's me. Looks like that person has got to be, I'm guessing has got to be Todd, because that looks like a very similar situation to what we currently had in the laundry room. And you get a sense that that girl there feels helplessness. She's kind of throwing her hands up in resignation of what's going on, but it shows that she's witnessed this before. which confirms my hypothesis with how Alice responded in the laundry room. She did not seem surprised that that was happening. Oh boy. And so Alice wanted us to see that. It almost like it serves as some kind of warning. Oh boy, that's intense. All right, chat, just want to give you a heads up. Pretty tense moment coming up. And if you need to step away or if you find yourself getting distressed, please pause the video.
What are you doing?
I'm playing.
You're playing. I know what you're thinking. You think your dad's a lowlife? Huh? Fucking loser? Can't get a job, take care of his family? Don't you think I tried to make things work? But whatever I do, when someone comes along, they just fuck it all up! I know what you think of me. You hate me. You hate me, don't you? Say it! You hate me! God. What am I doing? I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know I love you, don't you? You know I love you.
Ooh, okay. That is quite possibly the clearest example of projection. That is what, and I want to use this as a chance to illustrate what projection is. Projection is when you take a self-judgment or your own perception and make the assumption that other people share that assumption. And then you interact with people based off that. So Todd is basically saying to Alice, you think I'm a loser, you think I'm a lowlife. What he's actually saying is, I think I'm a loser, I think I'm a lowlife. I've probably been told that, and I'm making the assumption that you share that perspective. And then we're seeing that if that was true, if that was what Alice actually thought of him, that would make him angry. And that would be a perception of him that he doesn't have control over, so he exerts power over her and he throws the chair. Projection is dangerous because projection strips people of their autonomy in their actual perceptions of you. And in this case, it's particularly egregious because it's an adult projecting onto a child who only cares about the fact that, like, this is a person that has the potential to meet their needs. This happens all the time in real life, and it's very scary, and parents need to be mindful of this, but even adults need to be mindful of doing this to other people. Because instead of him seeing Alice for who she is, which is his daughter, who's relatively innocent and probably not capable of coming up with that harsh of a judgment toward him, somebody who he has the ability to actually make decisions to show that he's not a lowlife to her, he gets into his own personalization and his own self-esteem, his own self-narrative, and assumes that that is a narrative shared by her, and I'm guessing everybody else, including Kara. And so if you believe that everybody thinks that about you, you're going to overcompensate and show force and show that you are competent in ways that actually create more of that lost sense of competence. So that's projection in the flesh right there, to a T, illustrated beautifully. Also really distressing to watch. And then when Todd leans down and says, "What am I doing?" and holds her and says, "I'm sorry. You know I love you, right?" Alice is already bound. Alice is in a horrible position when he throws the projections at him because she has two options. She can either say to him, yeah, you're a low-life piece of shit, in which case he's going to flip his shit. Or she can say, no, I don't think you're a piece of shit at all, and she's going to appear to him to be defensive because he's already decided what she thinks about him. So then when he says, you know I love you, right? This is a girl who's in a complete double bind, who as a child has no ability to conceptually understand what's going on, and a person who has just created an immense amount of stress for her is all of a sudden hugging her and saying, reassure me for the fact that you know that I love you. Which puts her in a horrible position there as well. This is an adult acting poorly and putting a child in the crossfire of psychological issue. He's responsible for doing something differently here. And for those of you that are asking, what is it that he can do differently? Todd needs to take accountability for his own perceptions and recognize that other people are not necessarily going to see him that way, particularly if he acts in a way that doesn't align with that. If Todd is so deeply invested in the fact that he's a piece of shit, he's going to act like a piece of shit because then he's going to have experiences that align with that expectation and schema that he has for himself. If somebody were to say to Todd, you know, Todd, you're a really good dude. I love you, man. You add a lot of value to the world. That's going to create cognitive dissonance for him because his expectation is that he's a piece of shit. And that aversive arousal that's going to create for him, he's going to experience his anxiety, and he's probably going to channel that into anger because that's what he's learned to channel it into. So Todd's objective here is to realize that whatever level of narrative he's created for himself, he needs to take accountability for and recognize that other people very likely do not share that narrative unless he acts in a way that perpetuates that narrative for them. And so we would ask him, what would, if you were a person who had value, if you were a person that your daughter did respect, what are the decisions that you would be making? And we would coax him to make those decisions even when he's experiencing the anxiety of what that may mean. If your narrative is that you're useless, you end up making yourself useless. Yes, you can cognitively bias yourself into situations where you look for confirmation of your own internal narrative. It's why it's so deeply important for people to look inward about the way they talk to themselves first and where they learned those things before we try to change it. So, for example, I don't think Todd came into the world thinking that he's a worthless piece of shit. I think Todd probably had moments where he probably felt like he had worth. Todd heard that message probably repeatedly from other people. And my guess, without knowing anything about this, would be that he probably heard that from his wife. He probably was shoved out by androids and then felt like a piece of shit because he had basically been told that an android is more worthwhile than him. And if he's like a lot of people, especially in the United States, he probably derived a lot of his self-worth from the work that he does. And so to have that stripped away from him forced him into a space where he had to create an entirely new sense of self. And instead of navigating that and figuring that out for himself, he probably engaged in some self-loathing and then was expecting everybody else to share that. And then probably heard it as a result so that he could say, see, I told you so. See, I was right. I told you I'm a piece of shit. He gets to be right instead of getting it right. And so then he takes that and he conceptualizes it further into who he is, and then he starts projecting it out into the world even further, and it becomes a really nasty snowball rolling down a hill. And disrupting that cycle is incredibly difficult. But Todd's going to need some external help here. I don't think Todd's going to come to this on his own. One of the things that I help people with clinically a lot is trying to determine what narratives about themselves they've borrowed from others versus which ones they could have developed on their own. And you will find that if people are in the right space to reflect on that, a lot of the things that we say to ourselves are things that we learned and picked up from people that mattered to us, from our caregivers, from the people that were supposed to be there for us, that we valued and idealized. And once people are kind of able to acknowledge that that's the case, it oftentimes can empower them to then engage with whatever narrative they want to create for themselves. What do I want to tell myself I am? Do I want to tell myself that I'm a piece of shit? Do I actually believe that? Or is that just something that was so heavily drilled into me that I need to reauthor for myself? Because maybe I do have value. I do have something I can bring into the world. I have two androids in this home that I can take care of. I have a house that I'm able to maintain. Where do I want to derive a sense of worth and put that out into the world? That's something that Todd absolutely has the ability to engage with at any point in time. It's just right now he's choosing the other narrative that is autopilot. How would looking to Kara and not seeing a response impact Alice? It's hard to know, because Alice probably isn't able to make the jump to being able to like see Kara as an android and know that her stoicism is more related to being an android as opposed to being an unempathic person who's a bystander in what Todd's doing to her. So my sense would be that Alice is probably going to personalize that and say like something like, Kara doesn't care, she never steps in, she's a bystander and thereby an accomplice in this. I can't necessarily rely on Kara to take care of me, which would show why she was skittish with us when we came back. Right? She hasn't run to us. She's looked to us. We're a potential safety figure. But not seeing that response might be damaging to her, because she's going to, again, personalize that developmentally instead of seeing it in context. Crazy reflecting back on one's life and going, oh, that probably made things worse for me, and such events were actually probably more abusive to me than I wanted to admit, and maybe have helped issues develop. It is. That's a very hard exercise for a person to go through, Vixen. What could us on the outside do to help in this situation for either the kid or the adult? Well, if you're a mandated reporter and you see this kind of thing, children witnessing abuse is considered abuse in a lot of ways. You can make a report, but you also have to be careful that you can make anonymous reports without it getting back to the person that you're the one that reported them. There's not a lot. Thing is, people overly take on responsibility for these types of things. Like, you could certainly try to figure out who's available to help remediate this. I'm not a fan of just yanking Alice out of here. I'd be a fan of giving Todd an opportunity to be better. A common misconception about DCFS, by the way, is that they just take your kids immediately. That's not how it works. But is suggesting therapy, trying to build a relationship with Todd, trying to help him see his own self-worth. I mean, those are all things that may help, but it's hard. We're not responsible for them. Your father wouldn't meet responsibilities. Don't be like that. One of those negatives you hate. Yep. And what I learn and remember is you're as irresponsible as your father. Sounds about right, Uncle Bill. If that's something you heard, I'm sorry you heard that. Sometimes an internalization of things that are literally said. Sometimes it's things that are implied or inferred by how or what they say or do is responded by those people. For instance, somebody may not outright say to your child, you're worthless, but that message can be communicated non-verbally in other ways, whether intentionally or not. Correct. Yes, absolutely. Non-verbals are very important. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here, right? While knowing why this happens is great information, what needs to happen to fix the issues caused by these events? Todd has to take accountability for his own self-image and make different decisions that are more in line with who he wants to be, not who he believes he is. It's really what it comes down to. He can't be taking this out on Alice. Alice is an innocent bystander in his psychological degradation. Caesarian, that's a question that's very hard for me to answer because I'd have to ask a lot of assessment questions. A good first step is honestly recognizing that that's the case. All right, let's keep it going. Good stuff tonight. Thanks for being here again, Chad. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying this. Also, if I have missed a sub or anything like that, thank you for subs and follows and raids and stuff. I really appreciate them. Damn, this place is swanky. And I wonder what goes through an android's mind when they see themselves in the mirror. Like, how have they been programmed to conceptualize this? Wake Carl upstairs. What the hell's Carl? Oh, what's up, birdie? Wait, is that an android bird? Oh. Alrighty. Interesting. You got a little zebra skin carpet? Damn, man. Oh my god. I feel like I'm playing Resident Evil with these goddamn cameras. Nice. Little breakfast in bed action. Oh, Marcus, please put that down straight. A little sloppy. A little sloppy there, man. This is a nice house. This is a very nice house. Screen line cast. Interesting. Checkmate in 3 moves for silver. Oh god, playing against an android would be fun. Yeah, we got a nice like whiskey cart. We have a taxidermy giraffe in here. Got some sugar skulls. Lots of skulls. Interesting. Okay, just getting the lay of the land here. It's a Leopleurodon, Charlie! Shun the non-believer! Wakey, wakey, brother!
Good morning, Carl.
Good morning.
It's 10 a.m. The weather is partly cloudy, 54 degrees. 80% humidity with a strong possibility of afternoon showers.
It sounds like a good day to spend in bed.
I did go to pick up the paint that you ordered.
Oh, yes, I've forgotten. That is the difference between you and me, right, Marcus? You never forget anything.
We just talk about how freaking cool this room is. Also, my man Lance. Come on, baby. Anytime I get to hear my man Lance's voice, I get real excited. Administer Carl's medicine.
Show me your arm, please, Carl.
No.
Carl. Thank you.
I just opened my eyes and I'm already gritting my teeth. Humans are such a fragile machine. They break down so quickly. All this effort to keep them going.
take you to the bathroom now.
Come on, my man. Let's roll.
Anything special on the agenda today?
Yes, there's the opening of your retrospective at the Museum of Modern Art. The gallery director left 4 messages asking to confirm your attendance.
I haven't decided yet. We'll see about that later.
Okay.
What else?
Just your usual fan mail. I've already answered.
This is not a conducive environment for a wheelchair.
No, Carl. I can call him if you like.
No. No, don't bother. I would like to have my breakfast before noon, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry that your wheelchair is literally impossible to control, Carl. I'm using but a meager PlayStation 4 controller, my man. Oh yeah, let's go for a ride. Yeah! Love it. That thing was fast. Let's go, my man.
I'm starving.
Well,
Well,
good
your
news.
breakfast is ready. Bacon and eggs, just the way you like them.
Thank you, Marcus.
You're welcome.
Television.
Tensions continue to increase since Russia unilaterally declared the region part of its national territory. Several Russian warships have taken position in the Barents Sea since Saturday, and a Russian flag now flies over the ice field. The Russian president repeated in a speech to the Duma that the Arctic belongs to Russia as a matter of fact.
Why don't you find something to do while I finish my breakfast?
Sure. Okay, Carl.
That the United States would not accept this annexation under any circumstances. Several American destroyers are reported to be headed for the Barents Sea. Douglas Cromwell, chairman of the UN, announced at a press conference that we have never been so close to a third world war. He called on Russia and the United States to promptly renew talks before things get out of control.
Television off. Mankind is so depressing. Nothing but greed, stupidity, and violence. 5,000 years of civilization just to get to where we are.
All right. Let's read. Frozen treasures, the North Pole. Why Russia wants it. Bonus culture. Why bankers pay themselves so much. Is President Warren too close to cyberlife? Russia's interest in the North Pole has intensified with the recent discovery of precious minerals trapped in the frozen ice, many of which are used in synthesizing therium. Android manufacture increasingly dominates both the US and Russian economies, but this isn't just about GDP. Surplus therium reserves would allow either nation to experiment in more advanced Android models, enhancing their military and industrial output tremendously. Add to this the strategic importance of the region, which connects Russia with Europe, through Norway and Denmark. Greenland, as well as Canada, and the prospect of a peaceful resolution to the dispute starts to seem unlikely. But a spokesperson for NATO is more optimistic. Both nations stand to benefit from a stable, productive Arctic region. A conflict would benefit nobody. President Warren, however, recently torpedoed the notion. Quote, "It's simple. Russia has no business in the Arctic. If the Kremlin doesn't understand that, we will make them understand." Detroit today. Life found on Titan. Evidence for alien life grows. President Warren to make state visit to United Kingdom. NATO Security Council divided over Arctic dispute. Life found on Titan. The Darwin probe, which left exactly 19 years ago to probe the surface of Titan's methane ice, has just confirmed the presence of microorganisms living hundreds of kilometers below the surface in an ocean of salt water protected by a thick layer of ice. After similar microbial matter was found on Enceladus, I hope I said that right, another satellite of Saturn, it seems increasingly possible that life is common in the universe. A NASA spokesman responded to this story, has stated, quote, "The latest in a series of pointers to life on other planets. Quote, our android expedition to Io is one among many such voyages that carry a prime objective of uncovering extraterrestrial life forms. Jason Graff, director of humanization at CyberLife, said the company was committed to its partnership with NASA. Quote, our spacefaring androids are specially designed to function on long-range missions of this kind, and we are proud to have our models at the frontier of human exploration. Play chess.
Fancy game of chess?
Sure, yeah.
Speed chess.
Speed chess it is.
That's what I call a thorough beating. It's not easy for an old man to compete with a machine.
Well, I know you don't like losing, and you don't like when I let you win, so I felt I didn't have many choices.
True. We humans are complicated. One day I won't be here to take care of you anymore. You'll have to protect yourself and make your choices. Decide who you are and want to become. This world doesn't like those who are different, Marcus. Don't let anyone tell you who you should be. Let's go to the studio.
It's interesting that Carl is basically looking at Marcus the android as having a sense of self. That's a very complicated thing. By the way, I won there because I get a sense that Carl's the kind of guy that wouldn't appreciate if I let him win. Oh, shit. What is this?
Let's see where we left off. Remove the sheet.
This is freaking badass. How is he painting with blue when there's no blue on his palette? All right, we'll suspend our disbelief. Wow. Wow, that's cool. Holy shit. I just want to watch him paint it.
So, what's your verdict, Marcus?
I like it.
Yes, there is something about it. Something I can't quite define. I guess I like it.
The truth is, I have nothing left to say anymore. Each day that goes by brings me closer to the end. I'm just an old man clinging to his brushes.
Carl.
But enough about me. Let's see if you have any talent. Give it a try. Try painting something.
Paint? What would I... Painting what?
Anything you want. Give it a try.
Find a subject to paint. Paint desk, paint statue. Paint Carl's painting. Nah, that's Carl's painting, not mine. Let's paint the desk. Jesus.
That is a perfect copy of reality. But painting is not about replicating the world. It's about interpreting, improving on it, showing something you see.
Carl, I don't think I can do that. It's not in my program.
Go on, go. Try it. Grab that canvas. Do something for me. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Trust me. Try to imagine something that doesn't exist, something you've never seen. Now concentrate on how it makes you feel, and let your hand drift across the canvas. God.
Hey, Dad.
Leo. I didn't hear you come in.
Oh, I was in the neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by. It's been a while, right?
You all right? You don't look so good.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Hey, listen, I need some cash, Dad.
Again? What happened to the money I just gave you?
Well, it just goes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're on it again, aren't you?
No, I swear, it's not that.
No, don't lie to me, Leo.
What difference does it make? I just need some cash, that's all.
Sorry. The answer's no.
What? Why?
You know why.
Yeah, I think I do know why. you'd rather take care of your plastic toy here than your own son, right? Tell me, Dad, what's it got that I don't? Smarter, more obedient, not like me, right? But you know what? This thing is not your son. It's a fucking machine!
Leo, that's enough. Enough.
You don't care about anything except yourself and your goddamn paintings. You've never loved anyone. You never loved me, Dad. You never loved me.
Well, Leo intruded to ask for money. Yeah, that doesn't look like a particularly fabulous relationship. I mean, there's obviously more projection. I can see it in chat, which is cool. It's cool that you guys are starting to identify this stuff as we go through this, right? Like, you can see it. Leo's using his own template to try to make sense of what it is that his father's experience is instead of potentially listening to what his dad has to say. Now, I think it's really easy for us to come in here and look at Leo and go, okay, he's obviously tweaked out on something. There's an allusion to the fact that he probably uses drugs. But we have no reason to believe that Leo is necessarily wrong. We don't know the history of Carl and Leo. Is Carl potentially trying to atone for decisions he made as a father by being a better caretaker to Marcus? Is it that Carl is not happy with the decisions Leo's made as an adult, and so he'd rather have some semblance of control, thus he has an android? Like, it very well could be that what Leo is saying here is correct, and because our first representation of Carl here is that he takes really good care of Marcus and he wants to facilitate a sense of self with Marcus, he must be a good guy. But we have no idea what the context is here. I am not about to sit here and make a judgment about Leo or Carl because we don't have any context leading up to this moment. And I mean, a common theme of this game is that androids are taking the place of folks. And we're seeing that maybe it's possible that androids are also taking the place of family, not just jobs. We don't know what Marcus represents for Carl. We can, I think, appreciate the approach he has to Marcus. It's gentle, it's real, it's clear. But then we have Leo come in and basically say, "You're not that for me." There's probably some truth to it. I can't imagine that Leo's just angry out of nowhere. So this really just turns on my curiosity antenna, and I hope it does the same for you. We do not have enough information to make a judgment here, and that brings us back into our own bias as the player. We use contextual factors to pass whatever judgment relative to our own values we have, rather than trying to take in what's happening in this moment. Now, Marcus painting that painting, the reason I chose identity is because I think, you know, if I'm to take Carl's directive there to paint something that I feel that's a little bit more abstract, identity is probably the thing that accomplishes that task the most. And then doubt, I think, is probably closest to what Marcus is experiencing, because you can see doubt very palpably in how he's even discussing the idea of doing a painting with Carl. He doesn't think he can do it. He doesn't think it's in his programming. So Carl keeps suggesting that there's some level of identity for Marcus, and Marcus is doubting whether that's an actual construct, because I'm guessing he's been programmed to. So for me, it felt like the best thing that we could paint there was doubt and identity. That felt like the two things that were most authentic to that experience that was happening in the moment. That painting was incredible.